Well, hi, Sally.
Hi, Sandy. How are you?
Good. Oh,
Good.
let's have a meeting.
All right.
We don't need anybody else.
We can just start. Where are you
Where
at, Sandy?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. I'm here in Michigan. So.
In Michigan.
Yes, yes.
Born
So,
and raised there.
born and raised, moved away
Great.
obviously for a little while, but yeah. But,
Where'd you go to school?
I went to Palmer and Davenport.
Ah, super.
Yeah. Where did you go?
I went to Pennsylvania College of Straight Chiropractic.
Oh, lovely.
Do you even know it existed?
I did not until now. That was the lovely surprise voice.
Yeah, they actually closed. They were in existence from 1973 until 95.
Okay.
Closed
Okay.
in 95.
Okay. So are you born and raised in
78.
Pennsylvania?
No,
Okay.
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
So the school started in 78, and when it was time for me to go to school, I knew I was either going to go to Sherman. That was the thought at the time, was I was going to go to Sherman, and I heard they were opening a school in Pennsylvania closer to New Jersey. I'm like, okay, I could do that.
You could do that instead.
Probably before you were born.
So no, I was born in 75.
Okay. Okay.
So and went to Davenport because that's where my whole family went. So when I decided to be a chiropractor, I think if I didn't go there, I was probably going to be drawn and quartered. So.
Yeah. How many in the family?
I'm fourth generation. So
Wow.
yeah. So my family's practice here in my hometown, we're going on 90 years in practice here. So
you don't have to do a whole lot of marketing.
you do. You'd be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, but no, like the name is, it's pretty known in these parts. So I do have that advantage, the distinct advantage. So
what is the name that the people know of?
Blossom is the last.
Blossom. Okay.
Name. Yep. So my great grandmother graduated from Palmer as well, but she didn't. She never practiced. So just my great grandpa did, and then grandfather, father, and now me. So I practice with my dad.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Do you have siblings?
I do. I have two sisters and a brother. So.
And how many of them are chiropractors?
None.
None.
I'm the only
so
one.
somebody had to become.
Somebody had to become. Yes. But there was never any pressure. Dad never put any pressure on us. But it was,
no, that's super.
Cool.
How long have you been practicing?
I'm 10 years. I'm coming up on my 10-year graduation anniversary.
Nice.
Next week.
Nice.
So yeah.
Hi, Sean.
Oh my
Is that Sean?
My link, I couldn't find my link. It wasn't working. I have chapter leader links. I have whatever.
We don't need you. We don't need you. Sally and I have had our own meeting.
Yeah, good. And that's what a virtual chapter's all about. Right? So that we can have, that connection and that support, etc. So cool. So I guess we have 5 participants. Who's from 403? Do you want to introduce yourself? Oh, that's Jen, I guess. Or not.
It's the mystery caller.
It's 404. Who's here from 404?
That's me. It's Lisa.
Hey, Lisa Ingo, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Doing really well.
So some of us can see each other's and we can't see you. So I'm going to go ahead and just formally start the meeting because we're recording, and then I'll get to like the ground rules and the fun part. All right. So first of all, I just want to read our mission and remind us about why we're all here with the League of Chiropractic Women. The mission of this organization is to inspire and support women in chiropractic to thrive while advancing the principles of chiropractic. We commit to serve the vitalistic principles of chiropractic as a subluxation-focused and drugless profession. So that's why we're here. And I just want to say, when you're not speaking, have yourself on mute so that we don't hear the background noises. For those of you who we can see your faces and you want to say something, go ahead and wave your hand, or, say I want to interact with that, and then just come on in. All right. So anybody who's attended a real chapter meeting, generally we start out with just that exact thing, is what our mission is. And then usually there's some announcements about what's going on. And I want to remind everybody that we have a retreat coming up on November 4th and 5th. And so if you haven't registered yet, please do so. It's always good to register and get your hotel and do all that, because it can sell out and go fast. And we just want to help you encourage other women to get engaged in the League of Chiropractic Women if you yourself feel that it's beneficial. And before, we only had certain chapters and locations. So the idea of this virtual chapter is so we can hang out and enjoy each other, learn from each other, mentor each other, grow with each other, support each other. So each time when we meet, we're going to have the opportunity to introduce ourselves to each other. Often at a regular chapter meeting, we like to say, if there's anything that's really working for you in your life or your practice, what is it and why? And if there's anything you need help with, what is it and why? And so what I thought about for the virtual chapter, and as we just spoke about on the chapter leader meeting, if anybody ever wants to have a mini brief presentation for the virtual chapter, I'm an expert at this and I'd like to present it, that's the idea, that we want all women in chiropractic to thrive. And we thrive when we're knowledgeable, when we're working on mastering our skill sets, when we're building our character and taking care of ourselves, increasing our personal power. So if you ever want to present, all you have to do is email me, tell me what and why, and the stage will be yours. All right, as long as it's in alignment with our mission statement and that you are a member. So if you're not a member, you have the opportunity to come to 3 of these meetings. And if you try to register after the 3rd meeting and you haven't joined us, then it's really a membership only benefit. Now, if you're a guest and you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us so that we can answer those questions. So today we were just I thought about the confidence or the idea that as powerful women, we can change the world. And we can change it one person in a conversation at a time, one adjustment at a time. As a CA, one thing that you say or you don't say to a practice member or somebody out in the open. And so we have to be strong. We have to be bold. We have to have confidence and certainty, because those are skill sets and characters that people are attracted to, right? And so today I was just going to take a couple of minutes to share with you just a few brief things about what I think helps us build our personal power and what helps us become more confident, more certain, and, focus on changing the world through changing us. Right? There's a quote that an Anglican bishop gave. It's on the walls of Westminster Abbey. And it's something to the fact that first I tried to change my wife, and then I tried to change my family, and then I tried to change my country. And if I indeed just worked on changing myself, I would have changed my wife, changed my family, changed my country. And so we're all doctors and CAs and admin, and, we are women who often are the helpers, are the, we want to solve the issues. But I'm going to say that this virtual chapter is about building you up, strengthening you, building your character, helping you be bolder, more confident, more certain. And Jen, I don't know if you can hear me, but I just got a text from Eileen Denny about the link, and I can't do that while I'm doing the meeting. So if anybody knows Eileen Denny on Facebook, just shoot her to like that page that I posted or on my page, or Jen, if you can get her the link, that would be awesome. So the first thing I wanted to talk about in helping you be more strong, certain, powerful, change the world kind of superwoman is focus on your strengths. Focus on your strengths. So often we pick ourselves apart. I'm not good at this. I'm too small. I'm too short. I'm too tall. I don't do this. I don't have that experience. What are your strengths? And we all innately know our strengths, but sometimes we've been talked out of those. I saw a movie with Shirley MacLaine the other day, and it was really interesting. And I can't even remember the title of it, but she was a woman who owned an advertising agency. And she was dominant and powerful. Hi, Eileen, you found it. Good. So she was dominant, powerful, a force. And at this time in her agency, all of a sudden they started bringing people in and they were paying them for opinions, the whole idea of focus groups. And she was like, we don't want an opinion that's paid for, that they're going to tell us what they think we want to hear instead of what we need to know. And so the people in the advertising agent kind of got her out, like they manipulated her out of her own agency. And so the rest of her life was like trying to figure out, she knew who she was, she knew what her strengths was, and she knew she was dying. And so she connected with this woman who writes obituaries. And she's like, I want to make sure you write my obituary the way it needs to be written. And the whole story is around that. And it's very, very powerful. So I want you to realize that your strengths are your gifts. Not everybody might appreciate your strengths or want or need your strengths. Oftentimes people feel intimidated by your strengths. But if you want to really be a force for good, a force for chiropractic, focus on your strengths. And I see this oftentimes in offices, CAs that maybe aren't performing or underperforming, or associates that are underperforming. The head person spends all their time on the weakest link. And then the strengths aren't nourished, okay? So that would be a number one thing that I would say is focus on your strengths. And as I'm talking about this, I want you guys to think about, if you have a story or a lesson or somewhere where you learned this, why this is beneficial, or how you conquered that inhibition of focusing on your strengths, or anything I say, either take a note or raise your hand right now, because I really want this to be interactive and I want it to serve you tonight. All right. The second thing that I was going to say is that making that commitment to not just professional growth, but personal growth. I'm a big believer in who we are matters. And so oftentimes we want to work on, our marketing and our communication strategies, and we want to work on all of this stuff in the practice. But if we spend time working on us, our businesses grow. All right. And I see Eileen shaking her head. That's right, isn't it? And so personal, I think that oftentimes we allot so much of our time towards our practice that we sacrifice our own self-care, our own personal growth, and that weakens our personal power. So again, I would just say, do that. Make sure you're committed to not just professional growth, but personal growth. And yes, Sandy, go ahead.
I just want to say that when I interview for a position for the office, like if it's a CA or an associate, it's one of my favorite questions, and that's, what have you done to improve yourself over the last year? And so many people just get stuck at that question.
Right.
That You know, it could be reading a book. It could be going for walks on a regular basis. You know, just it helps you to come up with what their creativity is. But what have you done to improve yourself over the past year?
I love that. And, you know, one of the questions I learned a long time ago to ask on an application is, do you consider yourself average? And it is shocking how many people say yes to that. And I mean, I think we're all unique and special. There's nobody, we have beat the odds. If you saw my Facebook post on my business page the other day, that's exactly what I said. You beat the odds. You're unique. You're special. There's no one else like you. So you are not average. You are incredibly special. And then I think that question about what have you done to improve yourself is so vital, because we need in the office people who are striving to be better tomorrow than they were yesterday, right? Because that's what we teach. That's what we do. That's the philosophy we live by. The other thing, when I interview, I ask people, what are you currently reading? Do you know that the average individual, once they graduate from high school, never reads another book? I know, shocking, right? Because I know we're all like voracious readers, right? And so if I'm going to hire somebody, because I want them to have that veracity, that desire to learn, to grow. And that's one of my commitments in hiring people, is that by the time you leave this office, you will be healthier. You will be a better communicator. I want you to leave this office in a better state of all things in your life than when I hired you. So those are great comments. And I think this, like, just like we're talking about this universal truth, this is something that you can look at in the office with your practice members and with your family. The third thing is trust yourself. Trust yourself. I'm sure every one of us has a story about when we knew in our gut something or somebody that was like, no, that's not right. That's not good. Shouldn't do that. Shouldn't buy it. Shouldn't go there. And we ignore it. And B.J. Palmer often called that the wee small voice within. And so I see this a lot in coaching women, is that they second guess themselves, right? And you know this. And I believe that sometimes when we are thinking, I can do this, I am this, I'm like, I am superwoman, I am super powerful. And we start to doubt ourselves and we start to question. It's that we're afraid to step out of our comfort zone, or we're afraid of something. Who even knows what that is? But I really want you to make sure that you honor those inklings, honor that self, and trust yourself. Hey, Holland, good to have you on the line. If your microphone is open, can you mute it unless you're going to make a comment? We're going through just a couple of brief things about increasing our personal power, our strength, our confidence, our ability to be bold. And so what I've asked the group to do is, if you have something that you want to say, raise your hand or relate a story or relate something that has happened to you in relation to that. And we've talked about focusing on our strengths. We're talking about committing to both personal and professional growth. And we talked the third thing about trusting yourself. The fourth thing is be prepared to do your best. Be prepared to do your best. And what I mean by that is, where you are today is where you are today. And it isn't where you were yesterday, and it's not where you're going to be tomorrow. So if you give everything your all, and it just doesn't go exactly the way you plan, do not beat yourself up about it, because you prepared. You've planned. The person you are, everything that you've thought, everything you've done, everything you've read, the people you've spent time with, what you've learned from the LCW has created you to do your best at this moment in time. And oftentimes when we're prepared to do our best, the other side of that coin is that we always want to be failing forward or falling forward. So we don't really make a mistake. We have a learning experience, right? It's all how we frame it. A learning experience versus a mistake. Or you know, what I always say to anybody that I'm educating in my office is that, you know, as you're learning stuff, you're going to make a mistake. If we're going to risk, if we're going to be bold, if we're going to be strong, if we're going to change the world, if we're going to shout out from the mountaintops that what we have is so different than what people are used to, the paradigm we live in, the opportunity of movement in your spine changes your brain, we will make mistakes as we're mastering. And that's okay. So prepare to do your best. And each day you're just a little bit more prepared. You understand that thought process? So anybody have any thoughts on that? Like, I often think about when I first started practice, I came home and my dad happened to be visiting. And he's like, well, how'd you do today? And I was like, well, we saw 5 people. And, you know, he's like, well, honey, that's good. And I'm like, yeah, but, you know, I want more. And then I would, as the years went by and he'd come to visit, he'd be like, well, how many people did you see today? And I had a very, very busy practice. And he would always say, remember that time when you came home and you had only saw 5 people? Look what's happened over the years. So whoever you are today is not hopefully who you'll be tomorrow. You'll be a better version. You'll be more prepared. You'll trust yourself more. You'll be more working on your strengths to move yourself forward. And when you're strong, certain, confident, and bold, people's lives will change because of it. And then the other thing that I would say is to remind you, if anybody spends any time with me, they hear me say this over and over again. The people you spend the most time with are the people you're most like with. So we know that the 5 people we spend the most time with are usually financially equal or similar. Their values are equal or similar. Their motivations, their knowledge base, their belief systems. And so I'm going to say to you that you really want to be careful about who you spend your time with, and cultivate people who are your cheerleaders. Cultivate the people who say, I know you can do this. We were on a chapter leader meeting right before this, and one of our members wants to write a book. And she was like, I don't know. And I said, everybody at one time say, you can write this book, right? There's research that shows if people have to be standing in an icy bucket of water, they put people in a really uncomfortable situation. Let's see how long you can stand in an icy bucket of water. And they time it, until the person goes, I just can't stand it another minute. Get me out of here. Then they did the same science project. And they had cheerleaders. People were saying, come on, you could do this. Just another couple seconds, just another couple seconds. And their time that they could tolerate their feet in icy water increased. So if you want to be bold, strong, superwoman, change this world, you need to have people who see your greatness, honor and respect your strengths, and cheer you on no matter what. Right? Because we talked about this on Chapter Leader 2 a little bit ago, is that sometimes you just get frustrated, you get tired, you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall, you think, I can't do this anymore, right? And I see some of you shaking your head, and those of you who are on the phone, you're probably shaking your head even though we can't see you. We've all experienced that. Sometimes we just want to crawl under the bed and put the covers up. And that's okay. But don't indulge in that for too long. Get your people on the phone, get your cheerleaders on the phone, and get moving forward. The other thing that I'm going to say is that you've got to be careful who you listen to and who you talk to. So those 5 people are really important, but those of us in the field often are at seminars, and we listen to speakers or we listen to other people, and we start to compare ourselves, and that's a disaster. Only compare yourself to somebody that you were yesterday compared to who you are today. But there are people who have advice and opinions and directives for you. But if they're not the right person to counsel you, or they're destructive in their criticism of you, right? Because I don't know about you, but I love to be coached. I love, tell me what I'm doing, how I can do it better. my dad, I used to golf with him, and I'd be like, Dad, what's up? My ball's not going straight. And he would be like, honey, just take your thumb and just move it a little bit more. And I'd be like, phew. And we used to golf with this other person, and his balls were even worse. I mean, they were so errant. And my dad would say, why don't you do this? And this guy would be like, don't tell me what to do. I don't want to hear it. And we would all have to suffer through a game where this guy was never on the fairway because he wasn't coachable. And so I want you to be careful of, coaching, mentoring, girlfriends, other chiropractors, family members. My brother and I joke, we're from the advice family. I have 5 brothers, and I have 7 total brothers and sisters, and they all want to give us advice because we're the youngest, right? And sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it's not, right? Everybody's experienced that, right? So be careful who you listen to, who you talk to, what you put in your ears, what you read, because that will affect your personal power, your strength, your confidence, and your ability to change the world. And finally, I'm going to say 2 things, is that the clearer your purpose is, why are you here? And I don't mean necessarily as a chiropractor or a chiropractic assistant, but I do believe you beat the odds. You are unique and special. You are a gift, and there is a reason why you are here. And the more you can, when the darkest moments and the trying times, when you can realize I am here for a purpose, and sometimes you don't even know what that is, but somebody else does, or something else does. And so if you focus your life to be purpose-driven, if you focus your practice to be purpose-driven, if you focus your relationships to be purpose-driven, I will promise you, you will have greater impact and change the world in a much easier way. And the last thing that I'm going to share with you is a method that I call every day, reset the counter to 0. Reset the counter to 0. It's a brand new day. Doesn't matter what you did yesterday. Don't beat yourself up. If you had the greatest day or the greatest moment of your practice, don't enjoy it, celebrate it, but then what about today? The counter set back to 0. Who am I going to be? How am I going to show up? Who am I going to spend my time with? What am I going to contribute? And so these are things that I feel that if you spend time focusing on your strengths, if you trust yourself, if you commit to both personal and professional growth, if you watch the people you spend time with to make sure that they're the right kind of people you aspire to be like or admire, and you're careful about who you take counsel from, what you listen to and what you talk to, you focus on what your purpose is, and every day you get up and you're like, baby, it's a brand new day. The counter's reset to 0 and the plate is clean, the slate is clean, and I have the opportunity to show up as my best and most powerful self. So that's just what I wanted to share with you tonight. I'd like you guys to either comment and tell us stories about how or what that's worked for you in your life, or if there's something else you would like. And I would like maybe also to make sure we have time for everybody to introduce themselves. Who are you? Where are you? And if there's anything particularly that's working in your life, or anything particularly that you need support or cheerleading or suggestions for. I'll open up the line. Go ahead and raise your hand, unmute yourself if you want to share it all.
This is Lisa in Atlanta.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey. So I won't take up lots of everybody's time, but I will say that I would definitely appreciate cheerleading over the next season. I've been in a practice. I'm a chiropractic assistant, and I've worked in my stepfather's practice for 28 years. And I have just become co-owner with him. And he has significant health challenges, and one of the agreements for me to step in and become an owner of the practices that I'm looking for another doctor to join us. And I have another doctor that's going to come on a very part-time basis, and she's not the one who's going to like really plant her flag and be here for the long haul, become the owner once, later down the road when his season passes, and when he is no longer able to practice. One of the big reasons for me doing this is so that he does continue to have the opportunity to practice, because he's an amazing and gifted practitioner, just not a very good businessman. And so just while I step into a role that's, I've long told him for years that I can't own what I don't own, so I haven't had the authority to make some decisions, and now I do. But it comes with challenges that I hadn't faced yet in practice, because I wasn't on the ownership end of things. So there's a different level of accountability. And so I'm cheerleading in that respect, and just people to know that that's sort of what I'm walking in. It comes on the heels of us having lost my mom in March. And she was also part of the support team at the clinic. So.
Well, I'm really sorry for your loss, and I really respect you for stepping up and taking ownership and leading. And I'm going to just say that there is a wealth of knowledge on this line right now. And I know you're looking for cheerleaders and support. And so I'm sure everybody's going to hold you in their hearts and hold you in the light and see you excelling in this role. But please use the coffee house. Please use the virtual chapter. There's all sorts of resources. We live in the greatest time of the ability to access resources, right? For knowledge and experience. And so, we're going to cheer you on. We're going to hold you in the light. Is anybody, what I'm hearing is you just wanted to get that agreement that we will cheer you on. You're not looking for any advice, right?
Not particularly in this moment. I've worked in the practice for 28 years. I've actually taught for the Georgia Council of Chiropractic. I've written my own seminars. I am a coach, and so I have a lot of connections in the profession, and I think that it is sort of rallying the troops and making sure that there are people that are sort of standing in the gap with me. And the LCW has been a real gift in my world professionally, because even as I've worked and been a part of so many organizations over the years, the role of the CA has not been acknowledged in the same way that it has been. I mean, the LCW has really embraced me as a woman in chiropractic, and like, this is my dedicated profession. And so this is, these are my people. And with that, I know that there's a tribe of sisters that I'm not necessarily in relationship with more intimately. And so wanted to just sort of invite those of you in this meeting, into that, if you can stand in that gap with me, I will be grateful and appreciative and keep you posted. You can watch the story unfold.
All right. Well, again, we'll be cheering you on. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Anybody else have anything they want to introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, what's working in your life, or if you need any help or in reference to anything that might make other women stronger, more certain, build them up and strengthen them to do what they're here for. Okay. Well, I'll give you a couple minutes to think about that and process that. I'm going to ask you another question. Is the idea of the virtual chapter, do you like the idea of having content, a subject matter, something that we work on, and then we interact accordingly. Because I know in some chapters, some people are just like, we sit around, drink wine, talk, paint pictures. Some chapters are very focused on you walk away with something. And so I want this virtual chapter. Obviously, we can't all paint a picture together. I suppose we could if we wanted to. We could drink wine together, but I really want those of you who are coming on the chapter, the virtual chapter, to help shape it and develop it and contribute to it as well. So any thoughts, any opinions, any desires?
I like the idea of having some content every once in a while, but I like this just getting together and talking and kind of hearing what other women are going through. I mean, I think this is the first one that I've sat in on, but just, I think we have a tendency, or at least I do, to just put on a happy face no matter what's going on. And I'm okay. I'm fine. And it's refreshing to hear that, maybe not everything's fine with everybody, and that there's ways that we can cope, or just to, like you say, stand in your truth and stand, know what your strengths are and let those be your strengths, and don't hide behind them or don't diminish them. And those kinds of things, just talking kind of organically, I think helps. And it's been a big encouragement for me, just this, 40 minutes that we've had together, just talking about those kinds of things and hearing that. So content, yes, but I like the chance to have some organic discussion too.
Great. Anybody else?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can. Hey, Holland.
Hi, it's Holland from Dallas, Texas. And I like having content. I love having a challenge, like challenging us for the week or till the next meeting or whatever it is. So there's something that we can work on.
Okay. Like that.
And definitely love getting to know people, which only happens with participation. Or even if people aren't comfortable sharing, just seeing the names or seeing the faces frequently is always helpful. And I look forward to even just this being a gateway of an opportunity whenever we go to these big seminars or events and that sort of thing, actually meeting you ladies and getting together. And I'm excited for the retreat too, just to have that sisterhood, like Lisa had said, and feeling like there's somewhere to go and someone or somewhere to reach out to for help, whether we're struggling in life or in practice or just goal setting or finding direction. So thank you so much for just creating this opportunity for all of us.
You are so welcome. And, I thought about starting the meeting out with everybody introducing themselves and saying, that, but then there were 24 people registered. And so I thought, well, maybe people are going to jump on. And so my idea was maybe to start a conversation and as it goes. But if we had 24 people on a screen, we don't have time, right, for really anything other than getting to know or greet each other. And or of course the meeting could go longer too, So anyway, so I think that's another thing, is that I would like you guys to consider, is this your chapter meeting? And if the chapter meeting, I'll always start out with the mission statement. I'll start out with announcements, and I'll kind of say this is what we're going to do, but I'll also start by, does anybody have anything they need to say or discuss right off the bat? Like we did that on chapter leader meeting, Eileen, right, about 2 meetings ago, because we were waiting. Some of us got on early, and we went over an hour on just like masterminding, asking questions, talking to each other. And out of that came, I guess, is content, right? Because we all had takeaways and better understanding and everything like that. So again, I'm a very directive kind of, like, I have always a plan, just like I do with all my clients, but it's an organic thing, and it can go however it needs to go on any given night. All right. So Eileen or Sandy, would you like to say anything? And who's with you, Eileen, when we get to you? Hi.
So, hi everybody. I'm Sandy Anderson in Pennsylvania, and I have been practicing for 36 years and am actually looking at creating my next and have been looking at creating it. My office has evolved from a single practitioner, me, for many years. I had an independent contractor with me for 16 years. And then in the last 5 years, I brought in one associate and then have a second associate who started. And we also opened up a wellness center. So I have a reflexologist, an acupuncturist. I have a massage therapist who's been with me. I think I've always had massage therapy, but this one in particular has been excellent. And I also am a certified yoga teacher, so we incorporate yoga into the practice, as well as I've just gone through my certification process for life coaching. So I'm trying to evolve into getting me away from the adjusting table, and that's very sad for me, and happy as well, because physically the body just isn't holding up as well as I'd like it to after this many years in practice. And I'm trying to evolve into something to still be able to stay connected, but not have the physical difficulties of bending over an adjusting table all day.
Well, thanks for sharing. And, that's the beauty of chiropractic, is that through the seasons of our lives, we can teach it, do it, not do it as much. It's just a profession that affords us as women such great opportunities. So I would imagine in this changeover, you're also really increasing your leadership skills, right? And coordination and team building. Well, you're on mute.
It's something I've been doing for a while. We're a team of 9 now, and always worked on personal development and the skills that were needed in order to be able to run a good team. But that takes time. It takes time. And right now I've just been at the table adjusting, and thank God, I'm glad. But I'm looking forward to having the time to be able to really build a team and get more into the leadership role.
Well, good job. Thanks for sharing that. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you that is one of the things that all relationships take nurturing, and our teams really need nurturing. And sometimes it's doctors that how do we do it all, right? How do we do the adjusting and build the team and all of that? And, it's just the focus of what is the most important part of your practice. And I believe that we cannot do what we do without phenomenal rock star CAs. And we need to invest our time, energy, and love towards them, in my opinion. So, Eileen, do you guys want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Eileen Denny. I practice in Hamden, Connecticut. And I'm Lillian Awad, and I practice in Fairfield, Connecticut.
Hey, nice to have you guys.
Thank you.
So do you want to tell us about you and anything that's working or anything you need help or support with?
Well, I just started my own practice just 3 months ago.
Nice.
And I am, hanging around a lot of other successful chiropractic women, because I am trying to get as many ideas and experience as I can as I move forward. So I've joined the League of Chiropractic Women, and just, again, looking for good ideas on how to build.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're here, and there is a wealth of knowledge. So keep coming back, and, I hope we see you face to face at the retreat too.
Yes, planning on it. Yep.
Good. And Eileen, how about you? Share everybody. I know a lot about you, so let everybody else know.
Well, tonight's an awesome night because it's double LCW. We just left our chapter meeting, which was amazing, and you're stating a lot of what we discussed. So it's like hearing it twice is amazing. Hanging out with Lillian's always a great time. And those 5 people are really important, and they make you think and reevaluate. And I'm at a point now I want to take my practice to the next level. I've been part-time. I still plan on being part-time because of my 4 children, but I want to now fill my time and then bring someone else in to continue growing the practice, because the more people you meet, the more you realize they need our help. And I'm tired of playing it small, so I'm ready to take that next leap to really bring it out. And it's so much of being around you ladies and all that you say and how empowering, and all I get, like sitting next to Adrian, I'm just always in awe. And coming on to this, I'm like, this is a night of powerhouse chiropractic ladies who I just so appreciate that it just sets the tone to carry me for, a good while.
Well, and I just want to acknowledge you and Holland, because you guys are both chapter leaders. So they have a real chapter, like not like we're not a real chapter, just so that you all know, but they meet face to face. And so, that's a lot of energy and a lot of effort, which we so greatly appreciate, as I know your members are. And then they love it so much that here they are on the virtual chapter meeting as well. So, and Eileen, I know you really spread the word about how LCW has really impacted you. So again, thank you. And Holland, thank you, for being willing to do all that. And then our very newest chapter leader up at the top of our screen, Sally. Oh, you have to unmute.
I didn't realize that was an introduction.
Oh yeah, well, because Eileen, you were done, right? Eileen, I knew Eileen was done.
Take it away. I'm Sally Blossom. I'm here in the great small town of Vassar, Michigan. Most people have never even heard of it, even here in Michigan. But I am a 4th generation chiropractor in my family and the first woman to practice. So I have rejoined my dad, our family's practice here. And we're going into our 90th year. So it's pretty exciting, but it's also very interesting being the first woman to practice here in this small town, especially under the long shadow of 3 big personality men kind of thing. So it definitely has its interesting challenges and things, but I'm so grateful for the LCW. I got involved with it when I was living over in Ireland. And so was involved with it over there, had to take some time and step away from a lot of things for a bit, but came back. And then Sean and Edie reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in being a chapter leader. So here I am. So I'm just kind of trying to jump into everything right now between chapter leader meetings and virtual meetings, and then getting our chapter meetings going and successful.
So, and we appreciate that. European chapter and now Michigan chapter. So definitely committed. Anybody else have anything they want to share or ask for before we wrap up? Okay, so I'm going to share a quote with you. You know me, I love my quotes. Ralph, my favorite friend, Waldo Emerson. Every great and commanding movement in the annals of the world is the triumph of enthusiasm. Nothing great was ever achieved without it. And what I hear from each of you is your enthusiastic desire to be more tomorrow than you were today, to contribute, to serve, to learn, to grow. Lisa taking over a practice, and being a CA for 28 years, that's an enthusiastic mindset. And so when you are out there by yourself, or, you know, outside of the chapter, whether it's virtual or regular. Remember that we're all just a phone call, an email, a Facebook post, or a coffee house away. And we can't do what we do unless we do it together. So just like they told us in kindergarten to hold hands, you know, when we're doing, you know, fun things and dangerous things, we're just here to hold each other's hands, to lift each other up. And from the bottom of our hearts, I can't say it enough. Thank you for joining the largest women's organization, the first all women's organization, and a women's organization who is dedicated to helping all women in chiropractic survive, not just chiropractors, but CAs, educators, spouses, etc. So I love and appreciate you. July, we will not have a meeting because it's those of us who live in this great country of the United States. It is our celebratory time for our independence. And those of you who are listening from Europe, no offense taken, but if anybody wants to run the virtual chapter meeting in July, you know, so I know Kristen from Malta is trying to get on. I'm not opposed to other people starting and running the meeting. I personally am not going to be here in July. And again, I'll just remind you to register for November. Can't wait to see you face to face. Maybe we'll just have our own special little virtual chapter event at the retreat as well. So certainly it will be fun to get together face to face. But in the meantime, just go out there and be who you are. It's an amazing gift that you have, being uniquely you. Be strong, be bold, be on purpose, and change the world one person at a time. Night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks. Bye.
She's amazing.
Oh, whoever just said that, I love you for that. That was sweet. Bye.
Bye, Sean.